Hello guys, it's Blackwing 2040 back with another episode of Retro Throwback. And I know I just did another retro throwback, so why not do another? So today you're getting two for the price. Wait, no. You're getting two instead of one. Two is better than one, right? So anyway, I know I just did a retro throwback video on Ben 10, and you know what? I feel like we should also do a retro throwback on one of the coolest and one of the funniest Cartoon Network shows ever to hit on Cartoon Network. Guys, I'm talking about Ed, and Eddy. Oh my gosh, this show was so... This show was a nut job. Every single thing that happened in this show was just hilarious. Like, what can I say about the show? I mean, it's one of Cartoon Network's golden TV shows. Of course, I can say that. But jeez, plus the show was Emmy award winning. That's another thing. And just the comedy and the slapstick nonsense that happened in this cartoon, it was all over the place, and it was just so hilarious. So anyway, let's talk about the characters in the show. And apparently, I recently just watched Channel Federator's 107 Facts. Turns out there's only pretty much 16 characters in total in the show. 16. So maybe still had a short amount of characters, but the show was still awesome. So anyway, you got the three Ed boys, Ed with two D's, otherwise known as Double D, and Eddy. The three, who are of course the three main characters of the show, and who mainly go out through their days of, you know, planning schemes and scams, and of course they all live together in a neighborhood called the cul-de-sac. Everyone literally lives right next door to each other, which is, I would say it's fine. It's pretty much a suburban area. And so, I guess I should lay down the personalities. Double D is the smart, calm, and I would say not really sensitive one. Eddy is the more the cool, the scammer of the group. And Ed, he's the dumb one. Pretty much, he is Ed. That's what I can say. He is Ed. He is his name. So yeah, you have those three Ed boys, and let's move on to, you know, the children of the other children of the cul-de-sac. You have, let's start with Sarah, who is Ed's baby sister, and plus she cannot stand her brother. She always calls him stupid. She always loves to beat the snot out of him, and he doesn't even, well, he does care. He does care about his sister Sarah. It's just when he's hanging around Double D and Eddy, it doesn't come to mind. Like, unless when Sarah comes charging at him, ready to knock him out, Ed is ready to run. And next to Sarah, you have her best friend Jimmy. Now, Jimmy, I feel like he's the baby of all the kids in the cul-de-sac. And apparently, the reason why he's wearing his retainer, apparently there was an accident involving the Ed boys. I don't know what the fact was, but they did something to Jimmy, and I guess Jimmy lost all his teeth, and then he had to get a retainer. Poor little Jimmy. I feel bad for the kid. Like, I really felt bad for the kid. And Sarah was like his bodyguard, pretty much. And I feel like they had more of a connection, pretty much not just a friend connection. I feel like, you know, a boyfriend girlfriend type of connection. I mean, Sarah and Jimmy were pretty cute together. I mean, they were made for each other. So yeah, that's Sarah and Jimmy. Let's move on to Rolf. Oh man, Rolf was just... Every time I would hear him ranting to the Ed boys, it was just hilarious. Here's the thing though, you never really knew what country he was from. My guess was, well, when I was first watching the show, I never really knew what country he was from. He was just, Fluffy, who is Fluffy? Ed boy, you are not allowed to touch the pig. Oh my gosh, like every single moment he would just yell, it would just crack me up. And apparently, every time you would see Rolf, you would see him with a pig and a goat. Apparently, the pig's name is Wilfred. Wilfred. I'm just like, where is this guy from? Every time you would see him, and every time you would go to his house, you would see him he was pretty much farming the whole time. Like, okay, like, where did this guy come from? You always wonder, where did this guy come from? But overall, he was a hilarious kind of character. Alright, let's move on to some other characters. Let's move on to Kevin, who was the jerk. Guys, I really wanted to punch Kevin in the face. Like, every time I would, even though the show was a cartoon, it was hilarious. But Kevin, oh my gosh, he irritated me so much. Like, I wanted to just right in the face. Every single moment, he will always call the Ed boys dorks. I'm like, really, man? Like, just leave him alone. Like, I know they're messing with you and all, but leave him alone. You don't have to prove you're like, the cool kid on the block. And there were times, but here's the time. Kevin did have his weak moments. Every time Eddy always mentioned his older brother, Kevin would always freak out because apparently in the Big Picture Show, which was like the movie of Ed and Eddy, and I think I would say that was considered the finale. That's when Eddy's brother officially makes his appearance, because throughout the series you would hear about Eddy's brother and you would never see him. But here in the Big Picture Show movie, you actually see Eddy's brother for the first time. And this was the only time you would see him. Where it turns out Eddy's brother was nothing but a bully, actually. He always bullied Eddy so much, and it took pretty much all the kids in the cul-de-sac to actually stand up for Eddy, because Eddy was really, because he pretty much lied to everyone saying how cool his brother was, but it turns out his brother was a bully. And all the kids in the cul-de-sac, they were like, how dare you treat Eddy like this? And like, of all the moments y'all, in my mind, I'm like, of all the moments y'all stick up for Eddy is when he's getting bullied by his older brother. Yet every time he was scamming you guys always just wanted to beat him up. Like, jeez. But Kevin, and at the end of this, Kevin was actually being nice to Eddy. That's another thing. Like, I'm like, you guys were mad with these guys throughout the entire show and through the entire series, and yet it takes one movie for y'all to change your minds about that. Change your minds about them. I'm like, come on, man. But hey, I guess you could say it worked. In a way, it worked. It kind of worked. Now, let's move on to Naz, who was, the kind-hearted person, and pretty much, I would say she's the pretty girl on, of all the kids in the cul-de-sac. She's very nice to everyone. I feel like her and Kevin went out a couple of times, but I knew Kevin had a crush on Naz, but he never was able to get with her, and so did Eddy. Eddy had a crush on her as well, but I feel like Eddy had better chances with Naz than Kevin, because the way Kevin always treated people, Naz would never, ever want to go out with, Kevin. And plus, I feel like Double D also had a love affection for Naz as well, because there were a couple of times where Double D would always get nervous every time he was around Naz, and Naz would always speak to Double D in a calm, friendly manner, and Double D would just get frazzled up for no reason, because one, he can barely talk to girls. That's one of the reasons. But if Naz was, she was a cool, chill person. It's just that when she loves to stick up for people, but here's the thing though, when it comes to her getting messed with, you don't want to get Naz angry. You won't like her when she's angry. She will go rage on you. Trust me. Now let's move on to Johnny. I feel like he's the weirdest person in the entire. I feel like he is the weirdest person in the entire show. What kind of person walks around with a plank called Plank and say that's your best friend? I'm like, you do know that's a piece of wood, right? the piece of wood does not speak. It doesn't say anything to you. And apparently Johnny understands what Plank is saying. And in my mind, I'm like, this is just too. This is just too hilarious. What kind of guy walks around with a plank and says that's his best friend? Sometimes I wish there was an episode, or maybe there was. I wish there was an episode where Eddie would just take Plank and just throw him into a wood chipper, and then just see Johnny just get, no, Plank, my best friend. I would love to see that happen. And apparently Plank actually has parents. I'm like, what's going on here? What's going on here? But hey, it worked with the show. I mean, the show was just very hilarious, and it was so humorous. You didn't even care what was going on. It's just a show that made everybody laugh. And that's what was awesome about this show. And now we're gonna talk about the last group of I pretty much gave it away. The last group of characters, the Canker sisters, and these girls were nuts. I don't know, what did they like about the Ed Boys anyway? I will never ever know. Like, every time the Ed Boys were trespassing, well, I would guess, yeah, trespassing by their trailer, they would just, attack them, and they would take them into their trailer, and they would start smooching with the Ed Boys by kissing them all over their faces. The Ed Boys are scared of these girls, like, I kid you not. Here's what I found was the most funniest and craziest moments of the Cankers. It was the episode where Ed was sleepwalking, and he accidentally took their ship in a bottle. And so the Canker sisters went throughout the entire neighborhood asking where their ship in a bottle was. Instead of asking nicely, they wreck through everybody's house. No, not everybody. They wrecked the entire neighborhood just to find that ship in the bottle. And so Sarah rats the Ed Boys out, saying the Ed Boys have it. And so they knock on Double D's door, and I forgot which Canker it was. I don't know their names. The redheaded one, she was like, a little birdie told us you have something that belongs to us. Double D looks at the ship in a bottle, and then his heart starts to beat, and then he just silently just closed the door, and then he just locks the door, and then he turns around. Oh my gosh, that ship in a bottle belongs to the Cankers! The Cankers! Every man for himself! Just... that was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Just to see Double D just act so quiet and like... closes the door. That was hilarious. That was just so hilarious. Oh, one more thing I need to add about the show. What was it with everybody's obsession with jawbreakers? Is that what all they ate in the show? Like, how the heck are you gonna stuff a big ball of jawbreakers? You eat it, it's a big cheek, and you would just see drool dripping from everybody's mouth because they got a jawbreaker in their mouth. I'm like, what? And turns out, you always wanted to wonder why everyone had different colored tongues. It's because they kept eating so many jawbreakers. That's why. I'm like, are you kidding me? But hey, Ed and Eddy was part of, Cartoon Network's best lineup of cartoons. It will always have a soft spot in my heart. And it was so hilarious. That show will never ever get old. I recommend this show to anybody itching for an old school cartoon they would enjoy. I recommend Ed and Eddy for anyone. And so, as always, guys, we end the show off by playing the theme song of that particular cartoon. I know this is going to be the shortest theme song you're ever going to hear. I mean, the theme song is only 30 seconds long. So let's get started, shall we? Here is the theme song for Ed and Eddy. that part? Come on, guys. Everyone knows that's like the most funniest part in the entire theme song. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Retro Throwback. In the comment section below, tell me what you enjoyed most about Eddy and Eddy. Who was your favorite character? What made you laugh? Because this show had a lot of moments that like, this show was hilarious. Now, before I close out, I just want to say that I'm glad you guys are really enjoying this retro throwback thing. This really touches my heart, because to be able to share my love of these cartoons with you guys, it's amazing. Now, we literally, we got a long list of cartoons we could talk about. So I'm gonna be going randomly. I know you guys keep giving me cartoons I can do, and I appreciate that. I just won't be doing them in like any particular order, but I will do the cartoons that you request in the comment section below. So if you give me a cartoon that I want to talk about, I'll talk about it. It's just, it won't be in that particular order, because I got cartoons everywhere like we can talk about, like literally everywhere. There's like an unlimited amount of cartoons we can talk about, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Retro Throwback. I will say the next one coming up will be Kim Possible, and Kim Possible was a hit show on Disney Channel, so it could be that, and who knows, I may throw in for a Nickelodeon show in there, because we got a lot of show, guys. We got DC superhero shows, we got Marvel's superhero show, we got cartoons galore to talk about, people. So we're gonna have a blast with Retro Throwback. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I am Vengeance, I am Darkness, I am Blackwing. Stay golden.